Ladies and gentlemen, good relationships and connections flourish when built on mutual understanding and compassion. To bridge the gap between women and men, it's essential to see through the lens of each other's experiences. Today, let us focus on understanding men, a topic that often seems shrouded in confusion but is a beautiful opportunity for growth. Men are emotional beings, just like women, but the way they process and express their emotions is often misunderstood due to societal norms and conditioning. From a young age, boys are frequently taught to suppress their feelings, equating emotional vulnerability with weakness. Phrases like "be strong, man up," or "boys don't cry" have shaped generations, instilling a belief that showing emotions is unacceptable or unmasculine. This cultural narrative doesn't erase the emotions men experience, rather, it channels them into quieter, less obvious forms of expression. For many women, emotional expression might be verbal or outward, involving open communication or visible displays of feelings. Men, however, may express their emotions in subtler, nonverbal ways, such as through their actions, choices, or even periods of silence. For instance, a man might show love and care by solving problems, working hard to provide stability, or performing acts of service rather than openly discussing his feelings. These actions can carry deep emotional significance, even though they may not be immediately recognized as emotional expressions. When men seem distant or reserved, it is often misinterpreted as indifference or emotional detachment. In reality, they may be struggling to process their feelings internally, or might feel unsure about how to express themselves in a way that won't be judged or misunderstood. Many men fear that opening up could make them appear weak or inadequate, even with someone they trust deeply. This hesitation is not a lack of trust, it is a learned behavior shaped by societal expectations. Women can foster greater understanding by recognizing that men's emotional silence is not a lack of emotion, but a different way of navigating their inner world. Creating a safe, non-judgmental space where men feel encouraged to share their feelings can lead to deeper emotional connections. Patience and understanding are key. Instead of pressuring a man to articulate his emotions in a specific way, acknowledging his unique expressions, whether through gestures, tone, or actions, can make him feel seen and understood. Emotional expression is a spectrum, and every individual, regardless of gender, has their own way of processing and sharing feelings. By appreciating these differences and embracing them with compassion, women can uncover the rich emotional depth within men that is sometimes hidden beneath the surface. This understanding strengthens relationships and builds bridges of empathy and mutual respect. Appreciation holds a profound significance in the lives of men, yet it is often overlooked or underestimated. At their core, men, like all individuals, thrive on acknowledgement. When their efforts, no matter how big or small, are noticed and valued, it provides them with a sense of purpose and validation. Men often invest a great deal of energy into fulfilling responsibilities, whether in relationships, work, or everyday life, and these actions are frequently driven by a desire to contribute meaningfully and to be recognized for their contributions. While women may express appreciation through emotional or verbal connection, men often show it through actions. This dynamic can sometimes lead to a gap in understanding. A man might fix something around the house, work long hours to support his family, or perform small acts of service that he believes demonstrate his love and commitment. However, if these efforts go unnoticed or unacknowledged, it can leave him feeling unappreciated or taken for granted, even if that is far from the intention. A lack of appreciation can gradually erode his motivation and sense of worth, as he might perceive it as a failure to meet expectations. For men, a simple thank you or a genuine acknowledgement of their efforts can be deeply affirming. It doesn't need to be grand gestures, even a heartfelt comment, like "I see how hard you work for us, and I'm grateful," can carry immense meaning. Appreciation provides reassurance that what they do matters and that their contributions are making a positive impact. This recognition also reinforces a man's self-esteem and strengthens his bond with the person expressing gratitude. It's important to note that men often face societal pressure to provide and protect, and these roles can sometimes feel thankless or invisible. By taking the time to notice and appreciate the small, everyday things they do, women can build an environment of mutual respect and understanding. Appreciation also creates a ripple effect. When a man feels valued, he is more likely to continue contributing and nurturing the relationship with renewed enthusiasm and care. Expressing appreciation is not just about saying the right words, but also about observing, understanding, and valuing the intent behind a man's actions. When this is done sincerely, it fosters an atmosphere of love and connection, reminding men that their efforts are seen, valued, and cherished. Respect is a fundamental need for men, deeply intertwined with their identity and sense of self-worth. While love and affection are important to any relationship, respect holds a unique significance for men, often shaping how they perceive themselves and their role in the world. It is not just about admiration for their achievements or skills, but also about valuing them as individuals, acknowledging their ideas, choices, and contributions. For many men, respect is a reflection of being trusted and valued for their capabilities. It validates their efforts and reassures them that they are making a positive impact, whether in their relationships, careers, or personal endeavors. When men feel respected, they are more likely to thrive emotionally and remain motivated in their actions. Conversely, a lack of respect can leave them feeling diminished, undermining their confidence and sense of purpose. Respect is often demonstrated through small but significant gestures, listening to their opinions without judgment, trusting their decisions, and showing faith in their abilities are all ways of expressing respect. Criticism, when necessary, should be constructive rather than dismissive. A man who feels belittled or constantly questioned may interpret this as a lack of respect, which can create emotional distance and strain in relationships. On the other hand, showing respect even during disagreements fosters understanding and strengthens the bond between partners. It's also important to recognize that respect is closely tied to a man's emotional well-being. Men often equate respect with acceptance, and when they sense that their values, goals, or efforts are not appreciated, it can affect their overall happiness. They may not always vocalize these feelings, as societal norms often discourage men from expressing vulnerability. This makes it all the more crucial to be mindful of how respect is communicated through actions and words. Respect is about seeing men for who they truly are, beyond societal roles or expectations. It means appreciating their strengths while also accepting their imperfections. When men feel respected, they are more likely to open up emotionally, share their vulnerabilities, and build deeper, more meaningful connections. Respect is not about placing someone on a pedestal, but about fostering equality and mutual admiration, creating a foundation of trust and harmony that allows both individuals to grow and flourish together. Men often value both independence and connection, a duality that can sometimes be misunderstood. Independence is not a rejection of emotional closeness, but rather an essential aspect of how men maintain their sense of self and autonomy. From an early age, men are often encouraged to prioritize self-reliance and problem-solving, which leads to an ingrained belief that they must handle challenges on their own. This need for independence is not about creating distance in relationships, but about preserving a sense of control and competence in their lives. For men, independence can manifest in many ways. It may involve carving out time for personal interests, making decisions without seeking constant input, or tackling issues independently. This behavior is sometimes misinterpreted as detachment or a lack of need for connection, but it is often a way for men to recharge and regain their balance. They may retreat into solitude not because they are withdrawing emotionally, but because it provides them with the clarity and strength to return to their relationships with greater presence and focus. At the same time, connection remains deeply important to men, though it may not always be expressed in overt ways. Men may prefer to demonstrate their emotional bond through shared experiences, acts of service, or physical closeness, rather than through verbal expressions of vulnerability. Their connection often lies in the quality of time spent together and the trust that builds over time. For women, understanding this balance means recognizing that a man's need for space does not diminish his commitment or affection. In fact, respecting his independence can strengthen the relationship by allowing him to feel supported and understood. Navigating the interplay between independence and connection requires patience and empathy. When men feel that their need for autonomy is honored, They are more likely to engage emotionally and invest deeply in their relationships. It's important to create an environment where both independence and closeness are valued, ensuring that neither feels like a threat to the other. This balance can lead to a relationship where both individuals feel free to be themselves while staying connected on a deeper level. Independence and connection are not opposing forces but complementary aspects of a man's emotional life. By embracing this duality, women can foster a partnership that respects individuality while nurturing the bond that brings them together. Men often communicate in ways that are different from women, and understanding this difference is crucial for building strong, meaningful connections. While women tend to value verbal expression as a way to connect and share emotions, men often rely on action-oriented or solution-driven communication to express themselves. This difference is not about a lack of emotional depth, but rather a reflection of how men have been socialized and how they process their thoughts and feelings. For many men, talking about emotions directly can feel uncomfortable or even unnecessary. Instead of discussing their feelings, they may focus on finding solutions to problems or addressing issues through actions. For example, rather than expressing worry or concern verbally, a man might take proactive steps to ensure everything is in order, demonstrating care through what he does rather than what he says. This approach is often misunderstood as emotional avoidance, but in reality, it is a deeply ingrained way of showing love, responsibility, or concern. When men do communicate verbally, they may focus on the practical aspects of a situation rather than delving into emotional details. They often prefer conversations that are clear, concise, and purpose-driven. This can sometimes create a disconnect in relationships if women interpret their brevity as a lack of interest or emotional investment. In truth, men are simply wired to communicate differently, prioritizing efficiency and outcomes over prolonged emotional discussions. Understanding a man's communication style means recognizing and appreciating these differences without imposing expectations that feel unnatural to him. Instead of pushing for verbal elaboration, observing his actions and listening for subtle cues in his tone or choice of words can reveal much about his feelings and intentions. Creating a safe, judgment-free space for him to share can also encourage more open communication over time, helping him feel secure in expressing himself in a way that works for him. Men also appreciate being approached with respect and clarity during conversations. Overly emotional or confrontational approaches can sometimes make them withdraw, not because they don't care, but because they may feel overwhelmed or unsure of how to respond. By engaging in calm, constructive dialogue, women can foster an environment where men feel comfortable sharing their thoughts. Men's communication is less about words and more about actions, intent, and connection. By understanding and adapting to these nuances, women can bridge the gap in communication styles, deepening trust and emotional intimacy in their relationships. Men, like anyone, experience a wide range of emotions, but societal expectations often shape how they express and process those emotions. From an early age, many men are conditioned to believe that vulnerability is a sign of weakness, leading them to suppress or hide their feelings. This cultural narrative often discourages open emotional expression, creating an internal conflict between their natural emotional experiences and the need to conform to expectations of strength and stoicism. As a result, men may develop alternative ways of coping with their emotions. Rather than openly discussing their feelings, they might channel them into actions, hobbies, or problem solving. For instance, a man dealing with stress or frustration might turn to physical activities, immerse himself in work, or retreat into solitude to process his thoughts. These behaviors can sometimes be misinterpreted as emotional detachment or avoidance, but they are often coping mechanisms rooted in the need to maintain a sense of control. Understanding that men process emotions differently can foster compassion and patience. Men may not always verbalize their feelings in the moment, but this doesn't mean they lack emotional depth or don't care. In fact, their emotions can be just as intense and complex as anyone else's, but their expression often takes time and requires a safe, non-judgmental environment. When they do feel secure enough to open up, it's important to listen without criticism or pressure, allowing them the freedom to share at their own pace. Men also appreciate validation when they do express their feelings. Acknowledging their emotions without dismissing or minimizing them helps build trust and reinforces the idea that vulnerability is not a flaw, but a strength. Encouraging emotional expression can be as simple as offering support through presence rather than pushing for detailed explanations. Sometimes just being there without expecting immediate answers can make all the difference. It's important to remember that men often express emotions through actions rather than words. Acts of kindness, gestures of love, or taking responsibility in challenging situations are all ways men communicate their feelings. Recognizing these actions as emotional expressions can help bridge gaps in understanding and create a deeper connection. By moving beyond stereotypes and embracing the unique ways men experience and express emotions, relationships can become more supportive and empathetic. This understanding fosters emotional safety, allowing men to feel valued not just for their strength, but for their vulnerability and humanity as well.